Days after the United States refused to block a UN resolution impacting Israel, the Jewish state is lashing out at President Obama again. Earlier this afternoon, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed his disgust on Twitter, writing, quote, "The nations of the world respect strong countries that stand up for themselves and do not respect weak countries that bow their heads." The U.S. decision to abstain from the vote is leading some prominent journalists to reevaluate the president's approach to Israel and their reaction to it. Bloomberg View editorial writer Eli Lake caught our attention when he tweeted, quote, "I apologize for the times I defended Obama to my pro-Israel friends. I was wrong." It got me wondering why Eli Lake is expressing this regret now, and whether Jewish voters who have largely supported Democrats in at least the last 3 elections may now be reevaluating their own decisions to defend the president over Israel in recent years. So the man himself, Eli Lake, kind enough to join us live. Good to see you, Eli.
Thanks so much for having me.
What are you sorry about?
Well, I just say that I probably would not be considered the #1 Obama fanboy, but there have been plenty of times that I've written about how Obama has increased military aid to Israel. There's been plenty of times where I've sort of said, well, you know, he takes a nuanced approach. He protected Israel in the past from, you know, sort of resolutions that singled it out in the United Nations. To do this in the final weeks, and to do it in the context of a Middle East entirely on fire, and the impotence of the U.S. to do much about anything in Syria, you know, Libya. You can go through all of these hotspots where you're seeing a complete collapse of the state system itself. Then to basically come up with a resolution, which is the first time in 36 years the UN Security Council has been on the record with regards to the status of Jerusalem, when you've had several U.S. presidents in that interim period basically say until Barack Obama that, you know, any final status agreement would recognize that there are Jewish population centers in and around Jerusalem and that to be part of the state of Israel. To basically pull that out and to reverse all of that, and then to make it a matter of international law that will endure after Obama's presidency is extraordinary to me. Well, I don't think it helps the peace process. I certainly don't think it helps his legacy.
Well, let's break this down into a few points. First of all, as a journalist, you're absolutely right. I've checked the record. You're not considered a fanboy of President Obama, as you put it. You challenged his narrative on Benghazi, for example, and you were brave to do that. However, why are you now saying I shouldn't have defended him? Journalists usually are not in a position to defend a president, Democrat or Republican. And you're right. I checked some of what you wrote. September of 2015, you wrote about helping Israel on this and defense spending. Quote, "Obama has done more than his predecessors, financing the development of Israel's Iron Dome rocket defense system on top of the annual $3 billion U.S. subsidy to the country." My question being, that was a White House talking point for so long. So why did you use that in your column and basically say, yeah, he's been great to Israel?
Well, I've also been critical of him, but I'd say because it's factually correct. That is true. It's you have to sort of take the entire legacy and the point. My point on this is to say that I, for a period, gave the Obama White House a kind of benefit of the doubt on this, and I thought that certainly Obama had his views, but I did not. I think he really crossed the line here. And that's really why I tweeted it. It's gotten several hundred retweets at this point, I think. But my point on that is to say that, you know, when we're covering these stories, you got to take the positive information and the negative information. That was a talking point, you're right, of the White House, but it was also true.
Let's get to the substance of the policy then.
Absolutely.
John Bolton was on this program, the former ambassador, last night. Here's what he said.
I think he was stabbing Israel in the front. I think this was clearly intended to do much more than affect the issue of Israeli settlements. I think when you read the text of the resolution carefully, it's an implicit repeal of the iconic Resolution 242 adopted by the Security Council after the 1967 war.
So let's wrap it up by asking twofold. One, Secretary of State John Kerry, we're told, is going to speak to the nation tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, from the State Department. What do we expect there moving forward? And secondly, I raised this at the top. Do you think, as you are now second-guessing support, you know, or defense, I should say, of the administration, do you think American Jews who have largely voted for Democrats in the last few elections might say, wait a second, maybe they're not defending Israel?
Well, I'm not going to hold my breath on that last point. I'll be perfect as a Jewish American myself. But in terms of what Kerry would say, let me ask a deeper question on that. This is somebody who basically gave away a whole lot more than what Obama campaigned on in the Iran deal. Somebody who completely failed in the diplomacy on the peace process. This is somebody who has been humiliated time and again by the Russian foreign minister. And it's the end of this administration. We know there's going to be a major change. So the question is, why is John Kerry wasting his breath at this point, unless the intention here is to lay out a set of parameters for what they would like to see the final two-state solution look like, and then present that again and have another UN Security Council resolution. That is what a lot of Israeli sources are telling me in the last couple of days that they fear will happen.
That is a big question looming over John Kerry's remarks tomorrow. Eli Lake, you've always taken these issues very seriously. We appreciate you coming on Fox tonight to hash it out and talk about your own personal views on it. We appreciate it.
Thank you.